suddenly there was traffic because it was blocked out, and the people peeked out like this. Person peeked out like, get out of the way, and they couldn't because there was traffic jam. And then the boat, then they arrived at the destination. Then they all had to go. Then this car just waited here. Then came. All these cars were leaving to pick up the kids from school. Then they picked them up. Then they drove back home where they belonged. So they drove back to their hotel. This pink car lives here. So she parked behind here. Then she went here. Then parked where she was. Then after that, he was living in a fancy hotel, where he packed all his stuff. Then parked all the way over here. And then after that, the people walked into here, and people were excited to see what the hotel looks like. And it's a good view because it turns around. Then after that, they picked up their kids again, then went by. But suddenly, there was a big train in the way. It took 60, but it took it 1 hour to cross because this train broke. This train broke because it fell off the road. So it took it 1 hour, and they were so late for work that the car had to drive on the road, then on the place, then it had to drive on it, then turn, then went on the train track, and in 1 hour the train was fixed back, and it was so fast the car couldn't even handle it. So the car suddenly ran, and the train was running, and the train was coming, and it didn't work. The thing was broken before the train crashed into it. So he drove up, then he suddenly went on the ramp, then over the train, then came back. And they said, wait a second, it was over there for a sec. But he noticed it appeared here, so he suddenly parked beside the door, then went inside. Then after that, it was a whole different dimension. He noticed it was the same place, but a little different because there was people walking all the time, and the buildings were never like this. They never fell apart. And when he came, and he noticed the boat was broken and the plane, and he noticed the cars crashed. So he knew there was something odd in this world. So he was driving through, then he checked in his house, and he was like, anybody home? And nobody was home. Just a big crash. No way. Then when he got out of his dimension, everything was the same. So when he got back in that dimension and got back out, all of the pieces were coming back. And he was getting confused. Why were the buildings broken and a plane broken? And when I come back, it's good. And he was curious why, because it was a time travel. So time travel times you up, and so when the time is up, the buildings fall in this world. So he noticed something weird, that the buildings were not shaped right. So he went out of dimension and was perfect. Everything was perfectly fine. And after that, next day, he was going back, but the cars were still looking at his car. So he was going back and the cars were following him. And he stopped, looked behind, and he went back. Then after that, he saw them again. He was like, who's following me? Maybe nobody else. And he noticed when he looked across the train track, the trains were broken and off the road. So when they were off the road, he noticed that the cars were haunted in this place, but he didn't know yet. So when he looked behind, then the car flipped over. Then when he went back, turned around, he was going and going, and he went up, and the car just appeared right there. Then he looked, and he went inside that car, he went inside that van. Then he noticed nobody was driving the car except the skeleton. So he was curious, what is wrong with this world? So he went in this place and saw no one. And he noticed it was 8:55. And he was like, I'm late. But he noticed his work vanished. And the cars vanished. So when the cars vanished, he was really curious what happened, and he looked there and he looked for the human. He said, you gotta get out of this world because Godzilla is gonna come and burn this place down. And so you gotta go to the different dimension. So he listened to that guy, but it was too late because he heard a big noise. And buildings were shaking. Buildings were shaking up and down. And when he saw blue fire coming out of a big mouth at the beach, nobody was running except these cars were parked. And he was curious, why were they following him? So he went back and looked, and the kids were frozen. So he went into this airplane to go. Then the airplane was just going around. It was flying off its path. So it went back, and then the plane started shaking. The plane went faster and faster and faster and faster until the plane stopped. Then it went faster and faster and faster. Then after that plane, it went into the water. Then the plane started breaking off. Then after the planes broke off, the car was drowning, so he had to swim back up. And it was fixed. So he said, "Let me up, let me up." Then the things closed. Then the top closed. So he flew up, and after that, he went fast, and he said, "There's my world. Go back." Then after that, it was going back where it started. Then it froze, and after that, it was breaking down, and all he noticed it was just a dream, but it was real. Everybody was running out of their house and trying to get to that plane, but the plane was crashing because it was fire and that car was still on there. So it crashed into that building, then went off and exploded. Then everybody tried to warn that Godzilla was coming, but he didn't listen. Then when he looked behind him, Godzilla was there. Then so the plane started lifting up, then coming back, then drifting sideways. Then the people, and he talked on top of the plane. He talked on top of the plane, speaking, saying, "We're going to go to the portal and going into a different dimension where none of this would happen." Then the boat understood it too. So after that, they listened to him. And they all grabbed stuff to go. But then he went inside and was steering the plane. And after he steered the plane started crashing because of the engine. Then he noticed it was going straight towards the whole city. After that, the plane fell. Then the whole thing, he shook. Then was going up. Then drifting around. Then suddenly he fell out of the plane. He fell out, then crashed. And after that, he got smushed. Then when he got smushed, he woke up into the different dimension. But he came out of the portal. Then after that, it was too late because he was passed out for too long. And all of his fans were broken. And even they were dead. But the one camping van, the one hospital van was alive. And he noticed Godzilla already came. He passed out before anybody else. Boat got out of the suit. And he said, "I'm alive too, don't forget." Oh yeah. And then the building started falling. It fell. It was tipping and tipping. And after that, it shook. Then one piece fell off. Then it broke that. And then after that, it was shaking around. Then it bented. And then he noticed this piece was flying, then connected back. Then after that, all of it was tipping. Then when he noticed it was tipping, he noticed that the buildings are breaking. So he decided to get a plan so it does not break the buildings before anything else. And after that, he spoke to Bo and the hospital. So that's it from the story. See you soon. And this is the big build. So hope you like this video.
That's
I want to see it. I want to see the story.